The January 6th committee is still collecting new evidence in its investigation from people who were close to the president while he was trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election. And one of those people is British filmmaker Alex Holder, who was actually making a documentary about the election and had access to Trump, as well as his oldest children and some of his senior advisors. He has nearly 11 hours of footage, which was subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. Holder himself met with the committee last week. He's also cooperating with prosecutors in Fulton County, Georgia, as they investigate whether Trump illegally tried to influence the election results there. And Alex Holder, whose documentary series Unprecedented premieres this summer on Discovery Plus, joins me now. Alex, can you explain to me how the committee made contact with you or you made contact with the committee in terms of them learning about the existence of this footage, which seemed like a fairly late-breaking revelation, given that it's existed for a long time?
Sure. I mean, I probably have about 1,000 different theories as to how they became aware of it. I mean, at the end of the day, we were very visible throughout the process. I mean, some of the people on the Trump side seem to think that they didn't know about the project, and we certainly did know about it. I mean, I don't know how they could have possibly not known. At one point, my cameraman was on the stage with Ivanka, and I think CNN actually called to say, who is this random guy on the stage during the campaign? He's interrupting our shot. So we were there, we were very visible, and obviously on January 6th as well, on that terrible day, we were also filming throughout that tragic event. So I imagine there were lots of different ways they could have found out, and they reached out, and we're cooperating with them as they requested.
They did not subpoena you, they asked for cooperation?
No, they did. No, the January 6th Commission did subpoena me and the material, and we've cooperated. Yeah, absolutely.
This is a sort of random question, but 11 hours doesn't sound like a lot, actually, given how much footage goes into documentary filmmaking, particularly if it's longer than just an hour or 2 hours. Like, was there a narrow ask from them on the footage they wanted from you?
Sure. So we actually have about over 100 hours worth of footage, which includes all the campaign rallies and the behind the scenes and some of the verite that we filmed throughout the campaign, as well as after the campaign as well, on during the Stop the Steal, the Stop the Steal rallies that took place after the election had finished. So they specifically asked for raw interviews, which is what we gave them.
And those raw interviews, as I understand it, are with people like Donald Trump himself, Ivanka Trump, others like that?
Absolutely, yeah, exactly. It was the President Trump, former President Trump, his three children, as well as the interview that we did with the Vice President as well, and Jared Kushner.
I suspect that you can't tell me what's in those interviews if I ask you, or you're not going to for a variety of reasons. But can you describe the extent of your cooperation with the committee? I understand that you sat and spoke to them as well, right?
Yes, I sat with them for 2 hours. We went through all their questions. I answered them very directly and honestly, and they were very professional. And if you want to see what's in those in that material, you have to wait for the series to come out.
There's been reporting that in subsequent to this, as the news has broken, that you have had security, that you've hired security, that there's maybe some fear about your security situation. I know that when people end up in the sort of crosshairs of some people in the MAGA movement, that can end up being the case. What has your experience been like?
Well, apparently I'm an undercover FBI agent with a funny accent, or I am an MI6 spy. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of conspiracy theories being bandied about by people online, and I think after the various subpoenas that I've received, including the one recently from Georgia, from Fulton County, rather be sort of safe than sorry, which is an unfortunate situation, but I think in the circumstances it's necessary.
Were you shooting in Georgia? I know that subpoena happened. Do you have footage from that state? I know Mark Meadows was there. Obviously, Trump was there for that big rally. Did you guys shoot down there?
We did, yes, for two rallies, in fact, yes. Yeah.
And you provided them or cooperated with that subpoena as well?
Yeah, we're in the process of cooperating and providing them with the materials that they've asked for, yes, exactly.
Did you talk to Mark Meadows at all during that period between the election and January 6th?
I think I met him for about 13 seconds on the steps going up to Air Force One. And then I saw him again on Air Force One when he told us that they had to reschedule the interview that we were going to do on the plane with the former president.
And you were filming on the day of the 6th as well, or no?
Yeah, so we were there at the rally in the Ellipse, and then also for the event, well, for the riot that took place outside the Capitol.
What was going through your mind as you were watching that unfold in real time and capturing it, documenting it?
I mean, it was obviously horrific. I mean, it looked like a war zone. It was terrifying. My close friend, Michael, who was our DP for the project, is there immersed in this insanity. But on the other hand, it wasn't surprising. I mean, this was something that I actually had predicted the night before. I mean, at the end of the day, when the rhetoric and the belligerence that had come out from the campaign all the way through past the election, and then you have these conspiracy theories and these lies about having actually won the election when you didn't win the election, and you're telling 75 million people that you won when in fact you didn't. I mean, it was sort of an inevitable result, which is terribly sad, but it wasn't surprising, which is tragic.
Could you feel that violent energy in the crowd that morning?
Yes, I mean, there was this fervour. It changed all the way through that day. There was this fervour, this passion, this almost religious belief in that something might happen, this sort of Hail Mary that the president might be able to actually succeed in this venture of trying to interrupt this ceremonial process and remain in office. I mean, it was really quite incredible. And there was a whole load of people as well that were there. It was all different types. There were children, there were parents, there was sort of this, like, a very odd carnival-like atmosphere that then turned into something that was just, I mean, it was like a war zone.
All right, Alex Holder, thank you so much for making time for us tonight. Appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you.